Why did PBD invite your uncle and not you? He's afraid of the smoke, dude. Here's Unc on Patrick but David. Apparently, he also pissed off my favorite.
Answer me that question.
First of all, the border was not open.
Give me a. Are you kidding me? Look at the. What do you mean the border wasn't open? Are you? Hold on. Did you smoke before you came in here? That's ridiculous.
By the way, Vinny,
anybody can look at that video. The things you were saying yesterday was a complete sack of lies.
The border wasn't wide open. How many deaths have happened?
That's the best part about it.
And that's the
because
definition.
they were told to come. Sam, let me explain something. When your president says come to the country,
just going to yell all the time?
No, I'm not yelling. You just give me facts.
Can I turn down his microphone because
you can't? Yeah, just see which one he is. I think he's seat 3 or which one is it, Rob?
Seat 3.
Seat 3.
Seat 3. Go ahead, lower that right there.
And then the mic.
Right there. There you
volume,
go. Is that good? Is that good?
Seat
Seat 2. There you go.
Okay, go for it.
All right.
Go ahead.
Good.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. So
you're still going to hear the truth, though. So go ahead.
No, I'm happy to.
Yeah. Answer me that.
Dude, he got him so red. Last time I saw him that red was when he was facing off against me at Piers Morgan.
I feel like your heart pressure is going up. You're turning red, Vinny.
Somebody like you shouldn't be on this panel. I'm sorry for my language, Piers.
Why did PBD invite your uncle and not you? He's afraid of the smoke, dude.
Illegal immigrants that came to us 4 years.
I will get to illegal.
You don't care about those people.
I will get to the undocumented.
You cared about children.
But you don't want to talk about this, and I don't blame you because it's embarrassing.
No. But let me do a quick time out.
Every one of those Social Security numbers.
Do a quick time out here. Sam, let me just do a quick time out. You said you don't want to talk about this. You just spun away from a question I asked you, and you brought this up. You haven't even addressed the question I asked you. Wait a minute.
This is why your party sucks. Sam Seder takes heat for defending Biden's open border policies.
So getting back to my point about those Social Security numbers, they were given all to legal non-citizens. And every one of those cards, you can't vote, because I think you definitely said, and I think maybe you said, that this is a Democratic strategy to get voters. Hold on for a second. The Social Security card that they get literally says not legitimate for voting purposes. It is so that these non-citizens who are legal, just like when you came in, pay into the Social Security system and get, many of them never get that money back. So in addition to the undocumented immigrants who pay in $22 billion a year into Social Security and get zero back, these people pay several $billion in a year, and only if they become citizens, which most of them won't. Most of them will go back home over a period of time. They're here for temporary protected status. Maybe some of them are refugees and they get permanent citizenship. They won't get that money either. So every single thing of that video, this video here, was completely wrong that you guys did. It was fascinating to me because I feel like you, at the very least, I believe that you care about the information you're putting out. And this was all wrong. And
so they're up there. So Sam, this is all a lie. These guys were up there just completely.
I hate that the answer to this is yes. It's so sad because, like, I kind of get why, if you're a defender of this administration, you're like, oh, you mean to tell me that everything that this professional administration is posting about the ridiculous cuts to expenditures is a lie? And it's fucking sad that the answer is yes. Pretty much everything. It's either shit that they don't like and think is silly to spend money on, and that's a matter of debate, fine, or directly fabricated cuts, like just not a thing that was real, that or a program that no longer is continuing anyway. It's like a program where the budget for the program was like $800 million, and they've already spent like $799 million of those dollars, and they go, we just cut $800 million by ending this program. And it's like, no, you already spent it. You didn't cut shit. You cut $1 million. That's what you cut.
Bullshit with all the numbers. Where he's saying that people in the government are blowing the whistle.
And when they're talking about like non-citizen Social Security numbers, like, yeah, no, that's completely fucking made up. Dude, Social Security, before they started firing federal administrators, Social Security is so crazy that if you died and you accidentally collected a Social Security paycheck, like hit your bank account and you died, they would take that away from you. Like the government claws back every dollar. They take it out of your account directly. It's so funny that these guys are like, nah, there's just so much fraud happening. And in spite of all that, is there fraud happening? Certainly, of course. You know, it's impossible to combat fraud to a degree where there's just no fraud whatsoever, but it's marginal. The idea that there are, you know, tens of thousands of 300-year-olds in America or whatever that are collecting Social Security is fucking ridiculous.
So he didn't want to say their names. He was giving them praise. And for Sam, for you to say that you care about the kids and the labor and all that stuff. We've had an open border for 4 years, and all the illegals, way more than 10 million, have come into this country.
And they're moving away from Social Security to the illegals now.
It's unbelievable how many illegals have come in the past 100 days.
But this is the part to just be just show the data. Illegal immigration, this is Wall Street Journal, is a bigger problem than ever.
Oh, no, that's
These
fake
five
news.
charts explain why. Go a little bit lower. That's under Biden.
Trump got shot trying to show these charts, literally.
This is October of 2023. Go to the next one.
A guy who was registered Republican.
Here's another one.
On.
I love the simple-minded thinking here. Trump got shot trying to show these. Yeah, the registered Republican was too scared of Donald Trump showing the truth about illegal immigration. That's why he shot him. I love that. It's just like loose association of things that happen, you know?
Yeah,
Can I address what his
let me just show the data, and then I want you to say what you want to say. Go a little bit lower with the data, Ron. No, because he said it's inaccurate. This is another one here.
Okay, well, go back up. Go back up to the.
And then go to the last one, Rob. Go to the last one, Rob.
Go to the top one here.
I mean, this is the numbers you're talking about.
Charts.
So this is you can
start one by one. Go up.
Explain every one of them. Go for it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, you can see that this is what constitutes illegal immigration. These are, if it was an open border, you would not have these numbers. You would not have the numbers to know when Title 42 ends.
Yeah,
more people are coming to the border and they're being put into a system. Period.
That's the best part about it.
And that's the
yeah, that means that automatically implies that the border is not open. Like the very fact that there's border apprehensions during illegal crossings implies that the border is not open. It means that there's an encounter taking place with a Customs and Border Patrol officer. Many of those cases are actually legal asylum claimees. Okay, they have a legal right to be inside of the U.S. Inside of U.S. boundaries to seek asylum. They have a legal right. You might not agree with it, but it does not matter. It is a legal right that they have to the, you know, as long as Trump doesn't change that, which he is probably going to, but that's just a human right that they have. Number two, the argument here is to process these people expeditiously rather than trying to have this rigid enforcement structure that is costly, especially because undocumented migrants, non-citizens in general, documented and undocumented, are not a burden. They're not a strain on our resources. They're actually a benefit to the American economy. Not only are they a benefit to the American economy, they could offer more benefits to the American economy if they were documented. This is not only the appropriate thing to do, it's also a popular policy. When given two options, mass deportation or conditional mass amnesty, Americans, by overwhelming numbers, choose conditional mass amnesty if those are the two options. The problem is Democrats never present that second option.
Open border would mean that we have no records of people coming across the border. The law in this country has been that if you put your foot in this country, it's an international law, it's a U.S. law. If you put your foot in this country and you apply for asylum, you are due a process to do that.
Yep. Thank God. He's right.
98% of those people who are then what you guys would call catch and release come back for their hearings. We are woefully understaffed in terms of like immigration judges, and that process is definitely broken. I would love to see more money spent in the processing of these people so that we can establish which ones, like your family.
Like my family as well, illegal immigrants.
No, but came in through a refugee status. They weren't citizens on day one. They came in, they went through a process. It's determined that, yes, their claim for asylum is appropriate or not, et cetera, et cetera. That's what we're looking at there. As you scroll up on those other charts, you can see when Title 42 ends, which was only supposed to be an emergency situation that has to do with health, and you can't have it both ways. Either COVID ends or it doesn't end, the pandemic. And so people come in. There's no doubt And that number on that chart that Musk had, under Biden, more people received temporary protected status. We had a problem in Haiti as the country is falling apart. You had people from Ukraine coming in because of, obviously, the invasion. These are all under temporary protected status. They all got Social Security numbers so they could pay taxes into our government and not necessarily get...
Yeah. Undocumented non-citizens and documented non-citizens alike also get an ITIN, okay, an ITIN. This is not so that they can get Social Security payments, but instead this is so they can pay into Social Security. This is something that a lot of dumbasses on the Republican side don't understand. It quite literally is the opposite of what they think. These guys don't get to collect Social Security payments. They pay into it, though.
Get the services back.
Yes, and vote for Democrats.
No, they can't vote.
Right.
Those Social Security cards.
You can't. You cannot vote. Just because you have an ITIN doesn't mean you can vote. If I'm not mistaken, there are either none or very few instances of someone who is illegally voting. You cannot vote. You cannot vote with an ITIN. There's like one instance in the last election cycle where a student on a student visa tried to vote, or I think ended up successfully voting. And of course, they subsequently, I think they deported him as a Chinese student. That's it, though. It was in Michigan. There have been numerous studies from Republican think tanks, bipartisan think tanks, independent commissions that have extensively looked at whether or not there is mass voter fraud happening.
Cards literally say on the card, say you can't use this for voting.
AOC said we don't have an illegal immigration problem. We have a documentation problem. That's
She's right. She was correct on that. We don't have an illegal immigration problem. We have a problem with processing and documenting migrants expeditiously. She is 100% correct. What the hell is going on?
That's what AOC said. So this is not something new. You know how when you talk about who's better at gerrymandering, the left or the right?
Republicans seem to be better at that.
The Republicans are
I know.
much better
I agree. Guess what? So it's not like they can fight it and say, no, we're not. That's their reputation. They have it. They're better at gerrymandering.
Okay, Republicans are better at gerrymandering, which is objectively true. That doesn't mean that you can just like make something up and then be like, well, why don't you concede about this made up thing? Republicans are better at gerrymandering, which is why you have to admit that Democrats are better at, I don't know, killing old people. What do you mean? Excuse me. You can't just make an erroneous claim like this. Where is this coming from?
When you sit here and you watch yourself, when you're saying these policies and you spew out these policies, what the average person does, they'll watch it, and if they've already outgrown it, because today the problem with, folks, content creators have today is the following. Say we say something on a video and we're wrong. You know what others will do? They'll react to it and they'll say stuff to it. And if we're right, they'll keep coming to us to want to hear more of it because they'll say, at least you sound reasonable. And they'll say, I want to hear what John has to say. I want to hear what Joe has to say. I want to hear what Megan has to say. I want to hear what whoever these people are that are giving ideas out there want to say, right? But when you keep saying stuff that others are able to tear apart so many times that a former liberal watches that maybe was a viewer of you and says, how can Sam not see this and outgrow it? He is still stuck on this policy that's been proven. Americans don't want to pay more taxes to a government that wastes their taxes. How does he not see that? How does he keep pushing this agenda back and forth? Then you lose an audience, and the people you keep is the following. Here's who you end up keeping. You end up keeping an audience that makes you think you're right, but that's not always the case. You keep an audience that, of course, hates rich people. Rich people are bad people, and they're probably not making a lot of money, and they come to Sam to save them. Hey, let's trash and bash rich people because this is what we got to do. Yes, Sam.
This hits so hard if you're dumb as f. Yeah, but everyone is dumb as f. So it does hit hard. It hits hard for many of your coworkers, like a lot of your coworkers, if not all of your coworkers. They're all around. I need you to understand.
Let's give or take 2 years ago. At the time, it was probably a terrible season for Trump, I think we can say. Trump wasn't having a lot of victories. Trump was at a very low. Republicans were not convinced that he could go. Republicans were thinking it's probably going to be DeSantis or it's going to be somebody else. There was a bit of a split in the Republican Party and the MAGA. Like, I don't know. Even when he opened up his announcement that he's running at Mar-a-Lago, there was not a lot of people there. People saying, I don't even know, this person wasn't there, that person wasn't there, this person wasn't there. And then you get these CNN polls. Rob, if you can pull up the CNN video showing where the Democratic Party is at today, play this clip, and I want to ask you, Sam, what happened to the Democratic Party? Go for it.
Voters' views of the Democrats in Congress among all voters disapprove. 68%. And look at the approved number, just 21%, even lower than the Democratic Party at large. This is the lowest.
Even he couldn't help himself, and he had to make fun of Harry Enten. Number.
On record for Democrats, according to Quinnipiac University polling. You think these numbers are bad? Let's go to this side of the screen. We'll look how Democratic voters feel. Get this. The plurality of Democratic voters disapprove of Democrats in Congress at 49%, and just 40% approve. Horrible, horrible, horrible. Oh, my goodness gracious, you just can't get worse than these numbers.
And this is the number right here really driving all of this. If Democratic voters have turned on Democrats in Congress and the Democratic Party, that's what puts the numbers at historic lows. What is it they want to be seeing, these voters?
What is going on? I'll tell you what's going on. They don't like what's coming out of some of those Senate Democrats like Chuck Schumer, because take a look at the direction of the party. Democratic voters on Democrats in Congress doing too little to oppose Donald Trump. Look at this. 77% should stay principled, even if it means nothing gets done in Washington, D.C. 65%. And this 65% is such a difference from where we were in 2017 at this point, when just 33% of Democrats say this should stay principled, compared to 59% who said they want to compromise. Democrats do not want compromise at this point. They want a fighter. They want to go into the...
Wow, I'm shocked. Everyone in the heart of the Democratic Party that responds to these polls, that still pick up their phone and landlines and still respond to text messages for surveys and stuff, are all watching me, I guess, because they sound like me. How did this happen? Holy Toledo is right, but not in the direction that Harry Enten is suggesting. Holy Toledo is right because finally you got the Democratic base going, dude, what are you doing? Fight for us. What is wrong with you? Please fight. Do anything.
The ring like Muhammad Ali did against Sonny Liston. Wow. They want to take down the Republicans. They do not want this compromise anymore. They want to be more like Republicans, can get up to that stage and fight. And right now they feel like their leaders in Congress are simply not doing so. And that is why their approval rating for congressional Democrats is at an all-time low, even among Democrats.
Do you think Unc is a Dem? Sam is a Dem. Are you kidding me? Sam Seder is way more vote blue no matter who than me.
Sam, what happened? What happened to the Democratic Party?
Well, I should start by saying I always thought that Trump would be the nominee. And 2 years ago, I was wondering why Ron DeSantis was lighting his career on fire by trying to run against Donald Trump, to be honest with you. I think, Trump and the Republican Party, I think they're one and the same. And so that doesn't surprise me. Those numbers are some of the most encouraging numbers I've seen in the 20 some odd years I've been doing this, because I want to see it communicated to Democratic leadership that we want you to fight. And I've been riding Chuck Schumer for, 10 years, trying to get him. I mean, Harry Reid was a great, I think, as far as they go, leader of the Senate for Democrats. But I think it's time for new leadership in the Democratic Party. The biggest mistake that Joe Biden made was following the American Rescue Act, which was a massive boon to the American public. We cut child poverty by 45% in a year. I just want to repeat that. We cut child poverty by 45% in a year because of that act when Biden first got in. And you know what Republicans were talking about after we passed bills that cut child poverty in a year? Republicans were talking about 2 books that the Dr. Seuss publisher decided not to publish. And so in my mind, the Republican Party there is completely bankrupt of ideas. And Joe Biden, instead of pushing through Build Back Better over that summer, he opened the door for the Republicans to give a proposal. That went nowhere for 3 months. Then he opened the door for Kristen Sinema and Rob Portman to come in and give a proposal. And that ultimately, I think, is when Democratic voters started getting impatient with Biden, because we were thinking $5 trillion $4 trillion. Joe Manchin was saying $6 trillion Build Back Better bill. And we never got anything like that. It ended up getting split into the IRA, which was a good bill, but I think insufficient. And then infrastructure stuff, also important, but insufficient. And so I think what you're seeing is frustration from Democratic voters who are saying, A, you're not fighting. B, you're allowing the Republicans too much opportunity. And C, we need more government intervention.
Do you think it's more that they're not fighting, or do you think that their policies are simply bad policies and they're not landing?
No, I think it's that they're not fighting. What are the policies?
So tell me what policies are, like right now, the Democratic Party. Who is the face of the Democratic Party, and what are the top 3 things you guys stand for?
Well, I don't think there is a face of the Democratic Party at the moment. I mean, Chuck Schumer is nominally the highest elected Democratic official that's out there.
That's not a good sign for you guys.
100%. I agree. I call for him to resign every day.
Normie questions. I don't think they're normie questions. I think they're supposed to be contentious because they know the answer to it. But what? Only an Eastern-blooded Turk could have the gall to come to our country and try to tell us how to live. This is why your ilk doesn't belong here. You lack the decorum of civilized Westerners. It is the same reason why your kind can't handle a basic fucking economy back home. Typical Mohammedan anchor babies, says Sam Sinclair 7076. That's fucking awesome. Yeah, as an Eastern-blooded Turk, I want you to get healthcare, man, regardless of your horrifyingly racist perspective. You know, it is awesome. Please keep as a pet. Yeah, I don't want to block this. I don't want to ban this guy. He's pretty funny. Take it up with Erdogan, not me. No, I live in America and I'm an American citizen. And I'm saying, like, while I have enough money to pay for my healthcare, I want to pay higher taxes so that you can get healthcare, regardless of how racist you are. You know what I mean? Like, that's my point. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you think that it's uncivilized to have socialized medicine, but I want you to be able to get healthcare. I want to make sure that you can retire at a reasonable age. I want the housing market to be fixed so that, like, you can own a home, regardless of your perspective. You can be a hateful little racist in your house, you know? That's my argument.